Hello and good afternoon, all. Thank you for tuning in today in another series of our virtual alumni engagement series. We are really excited today to be talking to another proud Manor alumni. So, born and raised in Philadelphia, we have Hanna Shum, a graduate from George Washington High School and a proud Manor Blue Jay. Hanna earned her associate in science degree in business administration and accounting in 2011. And from there, she went on to Drexel University for a bachelor's degree and then Georgetown for her MBA. Today, Hanna is the vice president at State Street, a financial services company based in Boston, Mass. Welcome, Hanna. It's really great to see you.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be here. Great to talk to you.
Wonderful. So can you start us off by sharing with us, how did you hear about Manor College and why did you choose to come to Manor back in the day for your associate's degree?
Yeah, sure. So the journey is going to go way back, and I have to make one tiny little adjustment. I was not born and raised in Philadelphia. I was born and raised in Eastern Europe, but I call Philadelphia my home. So ever since moving here, it's been my home. So actually, my journey with Manor began even before I enrolled full time as a freshman. So I heard about Manor through my high school, George Washington High School, and they were offering dual enrollment opportunities. So what that meant is that I would go to high school, do my normal day there, and then in the evening I was enrolled in a couple of classes. And I was very interested in accounting. I wanted to know what that was. I had a very practical mindset about my career. So I took a couple of accounting courses while I was still in high school, and lo and behold, I made my decision to pursue Manor College full-time upon my graduation from high school.
Oh, that's great. So kind of your high school had a program that kind of
Yes.
just naturally went into that. We still have programs like that today called dual enrollment.
There you
And
go.
it's a great entry point for high school students to get their kind of
Mhm.
their feet wet with college. So I'm really glad to hear that that was your pathway.
Yeah, it was really neat. I think it's so hard. I feel like there's just so much pressure on high school students and even freshmen in college to figure out what do you want to do with your life. It's such a tough question. So I feel like I was a bit fortunate because I thought I was going to like accounting. I didn't know. So I had the opportunity to give it a try even before I started. And I loved it. So that's why, I went into college knowing exactly what I wanted to do. I know it's okay not to know. It's okay to take a few semesters to figure that out. But I think it was a nice way for me to get a taste of the major.
Sure. And we also have Dr. Aisha Serini with us today, one of our new full-time faculty members at Manor College, who's going to be joining me and asking Hanna some questions. So I know, Dr. Serini, you have a question.
Yeah, so it's kind of a couple questions in one. And so Hanna, the route that a lot of students begin their business careers is through the dual enrollment process. And so as someone who selected accounting, my question for you is what aspect of accounting do you work in, and what advice might you have for our students who are
Mhm.
considering a career in that industry and sector, and what might you have done differently looking back on your career trajectory now?
Fantastic question. So I had a very practical approach when I was choosing my major. I wanted to pursue something that I was sure enough I would be able to land a job, a good job, a good paying job, and that's how I pursued kind of this mindset. So I, even upon graduation from Manor College, I continued on and did my bachelor's at Drexel University, and I continued with accounting. I am CPA certified because I thought I was not be complete as an accountant without that CPA certification. But professionally, I grew up in investment management space, and my concentration was in investment stewardship, which is corporate governance, where we execute on proxy votes on various proposals for companies in our portfolio. I don't know, maybe it's not interesting enough. But my point is that, so I then transitioned to investment management, and I figured out that, maybe my passion was actually more that than public accounting. And I stuck with this. And then when I continued, my academic journey, and I decided to remain in financial services industry. But my point is, I began with a very practical mindset because I needed a major that I would be able to be stable as an adult. I could graduate, I could land a job. So that was my initial approach. But then the beauty of it is that once you enter accounting, once you're in business administration, it's fluid enough. And there's so many opportunities that you can pursue. And although I didn't remain in accounting, public accounting, it was a wonderful step forward for me to then transition into investment management space. And I remained in financial services industry. I love the markets. I love banking and things like this. But accountants and finance professionals are needed in any industry. If you're in retail, if you're in real estate, if you're a fashion designer, if you're in makeup industry, if you're making soup, whatever, you cannot do any sort of business without having a financial professional at your table guiding your strategic leadership decisions. So I think that is a wonderful avenue for people, and then they can then decide, this is my function, and then they can pick the industry where they want to apply: financial services, customer services, real estate, and so forth and so on.
May I ask a follow-up question, Kelly?
Of course.
Okay, so you just hit on some really key things that I would like to stress as being really important. The fluidity of the industry sector is one of them. I feel like students at the age where they're going for their undergrad really feel pressured to select a trajectory. So the fact that we're hearing from you, someone who's been through it, that it is, once you get in, you don't have to stay bound to the field or the track that you maybe started out with. You mentioned you're a CPA. So can you tell us a little bit about that credential and your journey in earning your CPA and what it was like? And, if somebody else is thinking about that route, and maybe if you could begin by defining the CPA credential is.
Sure. So CPA stands for Certified Public Accountant. It's a pretty traditional designation for accountants who work in public accounting space. And so typically, if you think about, usually people think CPA as a tax preparer, which is very true. And that's that, but it doesn't stay just there. We have a lot of auditors who are CPAs, controllers, and controllership are those people who are responsible for actually writing your financial statements for any given organization. So that is basically what CPA is. And the purpose is that you are representing the public, and you're doing this in almost as a fiduciary, in a very responsible manner. So in order to be CPA, you have to have at least 3-year experience of working in the industry. So that's your experience portion. And then you have to sit for the test. When I was going for it, and hopefully I'm not forgetting this correctly, and it hasn't changed, regulatory space and then I think it was business. So you would study, and then you can do it at your own pace, your own schedule, and then you. Did I lose you?
Yeah, just for a minute. But think you have a stable internet connection now?
Yes, I should.
Okay.
I don't know what's happening there. Apologies about this.
It's okay. A few times you were kind of cutting in and out, but.
You know what? Maybe as we talk, perhaps I can transition to my phone speaker, because this way I can, if video is going to be bad, audio at least would be good. Do I have a second to transition to audio, or should we to phone, or should we continue?
I think we can transition. That's fine.
Okay.
Not a problem.
Yes, I apologize about this,
Not a
guys.
problem.
But I don't know at what point. I don't know at what point you lost me, but I was sharing about the CPA, and basically you have to have 3 years of working experience, and then you have 4 exams that you have to take, and you take it at your own leisure, at your own pace. If you fail, it's okay. You can retake it. And I think, but you kind of have to take it quickly, because they expire within a year, or 3 years, something like this. So I started sitting on my exams even before I had my full 3 years of working experience. And then by the time I was done with the test, I had my work experience figured out as well. And then I have this designation. You have to keep it live every year.
Yeah, Hannah, how about you transition over to your phone, and Dr. Serini and I can chat in the meantime.
Sounds good.
Okay, I'm going to put you on mute for a minute.
Sounds
So
good.
come back when you're ready. So Dr. Serini, as a faculty member in our business programs, can you share a little bit about, why is Manor a good choice for students who are looking for a degree, an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree in business?
So Manor is a good choice for several reasons, and these I'll respond in no particular order, but the faculty who are here are coming from industry and really bring the business world into the classroom. And so that is important to be able to inform students about what's really happening out in the world. Our curriculum is I'll use the word that Hanna used, fluid, in that we are small and nimble and able to respond to the industry demands. And one of the big items on my to-do list that I'm very anxiously and excitedly looking forward to is looking at the curriculum. And Hanna mentioned that when she was exploring her options for education, that she wanted to pick a field, and I quote, that had a paying job, that was stable, and that she could use her job skills. So we're looking at introducing curriculum that leads to gainful employment in high priority occupation areas, and accounting and finance is certainly an area that fits that bill. So students should come to Manor because we're small, we're mighty, we're responsive, we're fluid. We have faculty who are passionate. It's a family environment here. And that's important because some of the larger schools, even though they may have some resources or things that we don't have, they miss that special trait that we have that really makes students kind of have that nurturing, supportive environment that they need to thrive.
That's great, and that really, I think, sums up well in a nutshell. Okay, Hanna, are you okay? And yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So can you talk a little bit about what was your Manor experience like? So you came here as a student. What were you involved with? What were some of your favorite memories, if you were to think back to those times?
So I have to be very frank. I look back at my time at Manor very fondly, honestly, I actually need it when I say some of the best years. I absolutely loved it. I came in and was able to find my space within the community pretty quickly. At that time, we had a very cool extracurricular activity in place. I don't know if it still exists, but it was called Model United Nations. And that is basically where you compete with other colleges, with other schools, and you get to represent a given nation. I think at one point we were representing Barbados, next time we were representing Vatican City, and then you go and you debate on various resolutions, and you're almost like honestly doing Model United Nations. So that was great. We got a chance to travel a lot with that. We went to Canada for McGill University to represent Manor at that time. It was awesome. I was also involved and also in leadership of a couple of honor societies, PTK, and also ABG, Alpha Beta Gamma, that was specific to business. And also at that time at Manor, I think it was one time, and then it kind of, we didn't continue with this, but we were publishing a newspaper. So that was also fun to contribute towards that. And then, and I think that was it in terms of my part of actual activities.
Sure. What were some of, what were classes like for you? What was how did you feel that classes prepared you to transfer on to, and comparing Manor to Drexel feels like very different, but how did that prepare you academically for the next thing?
So I took all of my core classes that were obviously very necessary for my degree. And I think that was a good stepping stone to transition to them to Drexel. They were good. They prepared me really well. I think when I went to Drexel, I was very shell-shocked, but it's just so many things that are different. But the first thing that hits it so apparent is just such a humongous college, university, is that you oftentimes feel like a number, and it's at times it can be difficult to seek help or seek support if you don't understand something. But at Manor College, you can do that. And I think, when I went to Drexel, I realized, wow, it's a humongous difference. But I think Manor instilled in me the ethic to be vocal in class, to ask questions, because you're in a fewer number of students. So you got to speak up, and you're so used to this that whenever you then go to another university, you're able to do that. So that was my core. And then obviously on top of that, I had to take a few of the elective classes, and they were my favorite. I still remember them. I took a lot of English courses, literature, although it had nothing to do with my major, but I absolutely loved it. And then I had morning classes and evening classes, and they were both equally good. I really appreciated that in the evening classes, we had a good population of students who were what called non-traditional background, who had a full-time job, who perhaps had, dependent on their care. And I feel like they were able to bring an additional real world experience to those who were like me, because I was, starting fresh from high school.
Mm-hmm. I think that's such a special thing that we still have at Manor, is it's this great mix of student body in terms of diversity and ethnic backgrounds, ages, stages of life. I mean, that's a huge part. 30% of our total student body are primary caregivers right now. 65% are first generation college students, and over 50% are people of color. And it's just a great mix of everything. And it causes such a, interesting conversations, dynamics, and just really, I love what you said, how Manor instilled you the ethics to speak up. That's wonderful. And we want to hear that. And that's, I think, really a part of what our mission is. So that's really encouraging to hear that someone can reflect upon that, 10, 12 years later and still remember that. And it's still true today. Dr. Serini, do you have another question for Hanna as we kind of start to wrap up here?
Yeah, I have a comment and a question. One is that I also had transferred to Drexel after earning a 2-year degree, Hanna, so we have that in common. But you might be surprised to hear that we now offer 4-year degrees. And so the fact that our students can start and end here and earn their associates and then progress on to a bachelor's. So that's a fun update. And also the other thing I'd like to say about while we're here at Manor is that it sounds like you were very engaged while on campus, and the activities make all the difference in the world. You mentioned the Model UN Club and just taking leadership roles. And so how would you say that involvement impacted your time and then maybe followed you into the business world? And do you have any recommendations for students while they're here on campus and how to make the best use of their time while here?
Definitely. It is one of my, typically when I talk to students at any institution, I usually give three points of advice, and it is one of those is to definitely get involved, because it's just, you get so much more benefit out of the input that you provide into that. It's just, the opportunities are amazing. If you think about it, you get to network perhaps with individuals with whom you wouldn't normally talk. Maybe you don't have the same major, you take different classes. Talk about the diversity of conversations that you can have, the experience, and just saying yes to situations where you're stepping outside of your comfort zone. So you're definitely expanding your toolkit, you're expanding your network, your experience, you're just becoming a more well-rounded individual. So I feel like it's such a great investment in yourself, first of all. And then on the practical side, you're continuing to build your resume, because for those people who are interested in continuing their academic journey the way I did, and then continuing their professional journey, you got to be a little bit selfish in thinking, how can I improve and beef up my resume to stand out, to differentiate myself? And you can definitely do that. And I think it's much easier to do it at Manor because it's a smaller college, so you can find a place for yourself. You just got to raise your hand and say, I want to do it. And you find the support system and network to find your place. I was just talking to a colleague of mine whose daughter is attending a university. It's huge, it's very large. And believe it or not, for them to even get involved in things like this, they have to apply and get accepted. So it's very competitive, and I would encourage everybody to get involved just for the sake of investing in yourself, becoming a better person, and then also beefing up your resume, because it's definitely going to help you with job placement and further academic journey if you choose to go that route.
What good advice, I think. Part of our mission, in the last line in our mission, states that Manor is preparing students to be active lifelong learners to serve the community well. And I think that's something that I think involvement in any stage of life is always really good, not just in what you're working or what you're educating in, but also getting involved with how you meet friends. And that's a huge part of the college experience too. So thank you, Hannah, so much for talking to us today. Thank you, Dr. Serini, for joining us today. It's been wonderful to have this time to connect and to always hear from alumni that they're doing well, and that Manor impacted them in a powerful way is really important to us. So I thank you so much for your time and wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It was really good to talk to you, and let me make myself available for anybody who's interested in pursuing financial services, accounting, business administration. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, Hanna Shum, and I'd be more than happy to help and share further with my journey. It's been great.